of Module 1, the first exercise that all of us have worked on has been case study review. Looking at and trying to outline the reasons as to why monitoring and evaluation is extremely important while implementing development interventions. I think I'm sure all of you have had have been able to really outline how the evaluation helped, but here goes. The first thing I'd like to point out is the context of where you are operating your social programs. There is no one size fits all. For example, in this case study, we saw that each school received 3 or 4 computers, whereas the school size was different in each of the schools. Some schools had 20-30 students, some schools had more than 100 students, and hence it was very difficult for all the students to use these computers. Further, you can also see that teacher skills differ, and hence just a 2-day program which is across the board for all teachers probably was not the best idea. Again, when it's mentioned when you go into remote locations, there were problems of electricity and power, and a lot of times there was no one to come and really look at regular maintenance of computers. So the first thing is that evaluation, or really planning and looking at the system that we operate in will help us understand the context and the differences between the target groups or the systems that we operate in. The next thing it helps us to do is to really focus on results, and if the results were increased technology usage, improved teacher skills and learning outcomes, I think through this case study we realized that we did not really achieve the results that we set out for. It helps us to learn from results, and as you see, after the evaluation, the organization said, alright, our program really hinges on teacher skills and teachers using these skills in classrooms, and hence we need to not just look at provision of computers, but we also need to train teachers appropriately and ensure that these computers are maintained regularly. We can also, and we're going to talk about this a lot more, but we can look at cause and effect chains, wherein we can actually see does computer usage lead to improved teacher skills or improved classroom activity and or improved learning outcomes among students. And more importantly, and I think a lot of us are always thinking about how we can strengthen the implementation, how we can improve service delivery of our program. And you would see through this case study that it was realized that just a 2-day training is not sufficient. We need to put in some tools and maybe some more systems in place where teachers have the support system to start using the digital infrastructure. Further, I think this case study does help, or rather these findings, if shared with a larger audience, does sensitize other stakeholders, funders, implementers on realities on the ground or when people are implementing similar programs. I think learning from results also helps us to allocate resources better, wherein now the organization says that we will focus on the well-performing schools to lead to, when we say well-performing schools, it's the schools who are actually utilizing these computers, teachers who have adequate skill sets to ensure that it leads to higher learning outcomes. And I think it all says the same, but we can actually use these results to readjust, or the organization readjusted their strategy to ensure higher usage, better skills and impact outcomes. So I hope all of you, I would love to hear whether there is anything more that struck you through this case study. But I hope all of you have at least got a sense of why we need to set up processes which gives us an understanding of context, helps us to learn from results, and allocate resources more effectively and readjust our strategies for higher social impact. Before we really go into the program, I think we need to